Yeah, baby.
She's so rotten, she wants migrants picking cotton. We present to you Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who made this shocking argument why America needs immigrants. Roll it, Alfred.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right, right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands.
When the wheels fall off.
You're not.
Jasmine Crockett clearly thought she was about to own the room with her signature blend of side-eye and fierce eyeliner. Instead, Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly rolled in like a perfectly coordinated demolition team, armed with surgical wit, cold hard facts, and precisely zero patience for theatrical nonsense. Gutfeld's takedown was so savage, you almost expected a smoke detector to go off, while Kelly meticulously shredded Crockett's arguments like a legal thriller gone horribly wrong. The short version? Crockett brought a vibe to a factual showdown and ended up getting a masterclass in public checkmate, all broadcast live.
It's just, that's what she does. She puts out this video of her acting in a certain way, and that's how she fundraises.
Mm-hmm. We actually did a bit of a deep dive on her after my old colleague from Fox News, Todd Starnes, posted something on X not long ago, Walter. He posted the following. Jasmine Crockett wants you to think she's from the hood, that she grew up on the streets. The exact opposite is true. She attended an exclusive day school where tuition is nearly $35,000 a year. She also attended Rhodes College, a private school where tuition is nearly $55,000 a year. She's cosplaying a gangsta. So we looked up her background. She was born in St. Louis. She's 43. Her dad was a Baptist pastor and a teacher. Her mother worked in a post office. She graduated from Mary Institute and St. Louis Country Day School, one of the most expensive private schools in the city. Indeed, the current tuition, $35,000 a year.
Let's be real. Jasmine Crockett sauntered into the political arena looking like she just parachuted in from a Bravo reality show spinoff that absolutely no one requested. She apparently confused C-SPAN for the congressional version of Bad Girls Club, blurring the lines between a serious hearing and a dramatic confessional. Honestly, if throwing TikTok tantrums and unleashing Twitter clapbacks were actual legislative skills, she'd already be Speaker of the House, Majority Leader, and probably moonlight as the Secretary of SAS. But here's the cold truth for Jasmine. Governing demands a lot more than dramatic posing during committee hearings and mastering the art of the perfected side-eye.
Jasmine Crockett's got another hot take. No blacks and whites on a wedding cake. The Democrats' new chosen one, Jasmine Crockett, is in the news again for an old clip where she attacked Florida Rep. Byron Donalds for marrying a white woman. Roll it, Bertha.
The fact that you sitting around talking about life was better under Jim Crow, is this because you don't understand history? Or literally it's because you married a white woman and so you think that they're whitewashed you?
Oh, how terribly unwoke of them, right? It was less a fair fight and more like someone brought a tricycle to a monster truck rally.
Speaking of leftist hypocrisy and cluelessness, Jasmine Crockett is a rising star amongst the far-left progressives in this country. She's a representative from Houston, Texas, of all places, which makes no sense because she seems to be far too left for Houston, but apparently not because they elected her. It must be like, Orange County in California being like the one outlier in an otherwise uniformly state, like all red with the one blue. All blue with the one red. Okay, so Jasmine Crockett got up at a Los Angeles dinner this past Saturday, and it was hosted by, this is perfect, the Human Rights Campaign.
Let's be absolutely clear. Greg Gutfeld arrived with the chaotic energy of a snarky raccoon who's not only memorized every chapter of the Constitution, but also somehow weaponized sarcasm into a precision political instrument. Megyn Kelly, on the other hand, swept in like the no-nonsense principal called to shut down a grade school cafeteria food fight. And Jasmine, she was totally the kid joyfully flinging mashed potatoes, completely oblivious that the whole messy spectacle was being filmed in crisp, unforgiving 4K.
That was 3 years ago. The ones of her just sounding like a normal person talking. 3 years, not like that was 20 years, but then she moved to Mississippi for all that time. That was 3 years ago. She sounded like a totally normal person. It's only now that she's got her accent and she's gonna kick everybody's ass. It's such an affectation.
Is she making any point there?
Like this makes me wish my mom made different father choices.
Crockett's entire political brand is essentially built on aesthetic outrage, the congressional equivalent of slapping glitter on a legal brief. Yeah, it's loud, it's undeniably sparkly, but it fundamentally changes nothing. Underneath all that performative glam, you're left with a giant nothing burger served with a side of extra sass. Her entire showing wasn't serious legislative discourse, it was pure political cosplay. Somewhere between dramatically declaring I'm reclaiming my time and demanding, can I finish my sentence? She seemed to completely lose sight of the fact that actual governing demands a whole lot more than just theatrical pauses and glares designed for viral moments.
So this is funny. Jasmine Crockett sits on the Judiciary Committee, and about a month ago, Walter, I testified.
Yes,
before the
we saw
Judiciary
this.
Committee. Yeah, and the hearings, the full committee hearings, are quite long. You can be there for over 4 hours. So, and they let the most junior members ask questions last. So I had to sit for quite a long time. And then at the very end, Jasmine Crockett, who I had never heard before, suddenly started screaming at me and Michael Schellenberger. And when you're a witness in Congress, you have to pay attention to what everybody says, because you never know when you're going to be asked an actual question and allowed to, maybe even allowed to speak. But I could not understand what she was saying. She was moving from one thing to another, and she was doing all that code switching stuff with the y'alls and y'all eyeing on this and everything. And
Greg Gutfeld didn't even need to so much as raise his voice. Just a few dry, cutting observations, and Crockett's entire argument collapsed faster than a cheap suit from a campaign donor's discount bin. He treated her so-called policy talking points like expired coupons. Utterly invalid, completely irrelevant, and absolutely not redeemable in any serious conversation. Every single time Crockett puffed up, clearly believing she was about to deliver a mic drop moment, Greg barely even blinked. That wasn't indifference. That's the look of someone so profoundly unimpressed, they could probably solve a Sudoku puzzle mid-rant and still have time to roast you before you even finished your sentence. And Megyn Kelly? She possesses the kind of commanding presence that makes everyone in the room instinctively sit up straighter, without her even trying. While Jasmine was clearly busy auditioning for a congressional remake of Mean Girls, Megyn arrived armed with cold, hard facts, precise timelines, irrefutable receipts, and the surgical ability to eviscerate without raising a single octave. Watching her dismantle Jasmine's entire political persona was like witnessing an IRS auditor with a personal vendetta. Methodical, utterly brutal, and absolutely merciless. At one point, and remember, this wasn't a formal debate, so no one was waiting their turn, Kelly dissected Crockett's legislative record with the precision of a biology student dissecting a frog. Spoiler alert, there wasn't much there to dissect. Jasmine's total contribution to American governance reads more like a failed group project where her only input was adding emojis to the PowerPoint, than somehow still claiming she carried the entire team.
Thinks of herself like an AOC. She talks like, she's from the hood. Meanwhile, she grew up in a nice family. She didn't talk like this 3 years ago. 3 years ago, she sounded like you and I sound in this conversation. Like, I'm really excited to be going to Congress. I can't wait to get started on my new job. And now she's like, we need to smack him in the head.
We know that we work for the American people. And what we not gonna do is stand around while they pull this that they trying to pull right now.
Like, what? What do you, we have videotape. Why are you talking like that? No one believes this bullshit. And now she's graduated to acting like a thug. So congratulations, your term in the U.S. Congress is going really well.
Meanwhile, Gutfeld expertly highlighted the brutally uncomfortable truth. Crockett doesn't do policy, she does performances. Her entire political brand is constructed on a flimsy illusion of resistance, fueled by dramatic finger snaps, theatrical eye rolls, and carefully curated Instagram captions. It's not that she's unintelligent, it's that she's intellectually dishonest. especially when the cameras are rolling and the potential for a viral hashtag is sky high. Crockett doesn't need a debate. She desperately needs a PR manager and maybe a legislative mentor who can gently explain that Congress isn't some improv comedy club with a strict dress code. There was one painfully obvious moment when Jasmine attempted to spin a soundbite about fighting for the people. Gutfeld didn't even dignify it with a direct rebuttal. He simply paused, let a slow, knowing smirk spread across his face, and allowed the silence itself to expose the sheer nonsense, like a harsh spotlight on a mind with absolutely no act. That, my friends, is how you utterly obliterate someone without uttering a single word. And Megyn? She didn't even flinch. That kind of stone-faced calm only comes from someone who's weathered 5 presidential election cycles and survived more media drama than a real housewife on her 6th divorce. Crockett's devoted fans might call her bold. Sure, in the same way that someone screaming at a drive-thru speaker is bold. Loud doesn't automatically make you right. Volume doesn't equate to virtue. And while Jasmine Crockett was busy turning every public appearance into another GIF-worthy tantrum, Greg and Megyn were serving up the kind of surgical takedown that genuinely belongs in a political masterclass on how not to embarrass yourself in public while desperately trying to sound smart. Honestly, I've just had enough of her performative shtick. She desperately wants to be seen as a member of the squad.
Do you share your boxcar with people of color?
I do.
Yeah.
My boxcar does not know race, does not know gender. It is a welcome space where only deodorant is not welcome. I like this Jasmine Crockett lady, right?
It's a great name, isn't it, for a villain?
Yeah.
Crockett is the whitest last name you could ever have.
Yeah.
I want to throw that out there.
Sonny Crockett, Miami Vice.
Yes?
It's like the whole thing is like, because I've seen her, she's very well spoken, and then she gets on certain programs and lets it. So maybe this whole thing is like a Netflix documentary, like a new spin on Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde.
She just kept dropping empty buzzwords like confetti at a New Year's Eve party, desperately hoping one would actually stick. But this wasn't Times Square. This was a political roast, and Crockett, my friends, was the main course. Her entire defense strategy seemed to consist solely of rolling her eyes so dramatically hard, I swear she risked detaching an optic nerve. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly, cool as ice, calmly cited actual bills, concrete voting records, and, basic reality, things Crockett clearly hadn't bothered to review since her last viral tweet. It wasn't even close. Crockett walked in with vibes. Gutfeld and Kelly arrived with footnotes. There's something almost tragically poetic about the Grand Canyon-sized gap between Crockett's self-image and her actual impact. She genuinely believes she's delivering political sermons from Mount Olympus, when in truth, she's barely operating above basic Twitter thread energy. After that flaming dumpster fire of a takedown, you'd think Jasmine Crockett might step back, reassess, maybe even crack open a civics textbook or, dare we dream, read an actual bill or two. But nope, she doubled down harder than someone who just found out Uno cards aren't legally admissible in court and decided to play them in Congress anyway. Reverse, skip, draw 4. Except this time, Greg and Megyn weren't playing games. They were handing out cold, hard reality checks, and Jasmine's bounced harder than her most ambitious press conference promises.
Like, this is... If you're going to talk about Black history, at least know it. This is... At least know it, okay? But it goes back to, that was 45 seconds of some of the, like, Kamala, you good right now. That was some of the dumbest I ever heard in my life. Here's the thing. This goes back to what we talked about earlier. They never have a solution. Just listen to your dumbass talk. You want to talk about agriculture? Why don't you fix the lottery? Why don't you make it easier for people who want to come into this country to work in agriculture and equitation?
Crockett's ultimate political weapon of choice? That infamous stare. Yes, that stare. The one she deploys when she's completely run out of actual arguments, but still desperately trying to convince the room she possesses some hidden, profound knowledge no one else can access, like a magic 8-ball filled exclusively with attitude. Unfortunately for her, Greg and Megyn don't play that game. They've seen it 1,000 times before. It's not power, it's just a transparent stall tactic thinly disguised as defiance. The roasting was so utterly complete, it didn't even require a formal rebuttal. Crockett's subsequent silence wasn't golden, it was unequivocally forced. There's a distinct, cringe-worthy kind of public collapse that happens when someone runs out of spin mid-sentence and suddenly realizes the applause they expected is simply never coming. That's precisely what unfolded, and let's not for a second pretend this was some rare off day for Jasmine Crockett. This wasn't just a bad take, this is her take. Her entire congressional career to date has been a masterclass in loud wrongness. She doesn't walk into the room to contribute meaningful work. She shows up like it's amateur night at a slam poetry bar and genuinely believes Congress is her personal open mic session. Meanwhile, back in reality land, where people actually expect results instead of TikTok tantrums, Gutfeld and Kelly's takedown wasn't just highly entertaining, it was a much-needed, brutal reset. Like someone finally, mercifully saying, "Hey, can we please stop pretending that vibes somehow equal actual vision?" Because let's be brutally honest, Jasmine Crockett isn't representing constituents. She's expertly farming followers. You'd think that after being mercilessly turned into a meme by two of the sharpest tongues in political commentary, Crockett might finally lie low, reevaluate, perhaps even swap the sass for some much-needed substance. But no, she'll probably triple down by releasing a dramatic statement written entirely in emojis, filmed from the backseat of a Tesla, with a Starbucks cup in one hand and a glaringly misquoted Malcolm X speech in the other. Let's take a moment to truly appreciate the full, magnificent sweep of the destruction. Gutfeld, in his trademark "I've seen it all and I'm utterly bored by it" tone, metaphorically peeled Crockett like a banana and then calmly pointed out the blindingly obvious. If your entire political strategy hinges solely on performative outrage, you're not a politician. You're just a YouTube reaction channel wearing a blazer. And Kelly, who could dissect someone with just a piercing glance, didn't merely dismantle Crockett's argument, she thoroughly audited her entire political soul. It was like watching someone get roasted in Latin and still somehow understand every single syllable. There's something deliciously brutal about a takedown that's built more on pure brainpower than brawling. Crockett clearly wasn't prepared for a mental chess match. She came armed for a childish slap fight. And here's the ultimate punchline: Crockett genuinely still believes she won. That somehow, by merely surviving this verbal bloodbath, she emerged stronger, like a contestant who finishes dead last on Survivor and then insists they really played the best social game. No, sweetheart, you didn't play anything. You got played.